Hello and welcome to the Healthy Not Complicated podcast. Now, I have been using my Oura Ring for over 6 years, and I did a review, I think probably after 2 years of using it, and I thought it was time for an update. So I'm going to do a bit of a review in today's video. I'm going to break down what the Oura Ring is, what it tracks, how it works. We'll get into what I like about it, what I don't. We'll also talk about how it compares to other wearables, such as Whoop, which I used for over 4 years, and I'll also compare it to 8 Sleep, Apple Watch, that sort of thing. And I'll also get into, well, despite the issues I have with Oura, I keep using it. And the reason why might surprise you. Because Oura has made some updates over the years, some good, some not so good. And as someone who has used a lot of wearable devices over the years and different sleep trackers, I did a review a few weeks ago on Whoop and talked a little bit about Oura in that video and how Whoop compared to it in a few different ways. Again, some good, some bad. I've also used 8 Sleep, which is a mattress cover that tracks your sleep metrics, but the other part to it is it also adjusts your temperature while you sleep. So when you first go to sleep, you want your body temperature to cool, and you want it to be cooler in the first half of the night, and then you want it to go up slightly in the second half of the night. And I like 8 Sleep as well because it has sort of a built-in alarm feature where the mattress actually vibrates softly to wake you up and also warms up. So that aspect of 8 Sleep I really like. Maybe I'll do a review on 8 Sleep as well, because I actually don't use the sleep tracking metrics and the sleep score on that as much as I have Whoop and Oura, but I do really like the whole temperature adjusting aspect to it and the alarm, and I feel like that has made a significant impact on my sleep in a positive way. But today we're talking about Oura. So I'm going to do a bit of a review in today's video. I'm going to break down what the Oura Ring is, what it tracks, how it works. We'll get into what I like about it, what I don't. We'll also talk about how it compares to other wearables, such as Whoop, which I used for over 4 years, and I'll also compare it to 8 Sleep, Apple Watch, that sort of thing. And I'll also get into, well, despite the issues I have with Oura, I keep using it. And the reason why might surprise you. So what is the Oura Ring? Oura Ring is a wearable sleep and recovery tracker. It also tracks your activity as well. Of course, it's a ring, so you wear it on your finger. And unlike traditional smartwatches, it focuses more on sleep and recovery. And it has less of an emphasis on real-time fitness and activity tracking, although it does have these features as well. It does track your steps, it does track activities and exercise, and it does sync with Strava, so you can upload your activities straight from Oura. Now, like I said, I've been using Oura Ring for over 6 years. For over 6 years, I got a notification a little while ago that said it was my 6-year anniversary. I originally started with, I think, the 2nd generation ring, and now I have the 3rd generation ring, and I've had this one since, I think I looked at the date the other day, since 2021, still working, still great. So that's almost 4 years. The way Oura works is every day it gives you 3 scores out of 100. It gives you a sleep score, which measures how well you slept based on the duration, the quality, your heart rate variability, and your movement. It gives you an activity score because, like I said, it tracks your movement throughout the day and your recovery levels. And it gives you a readiness score. So this uses your sleep data, your heart rate variability or HRV, your resting heart rate, and your body temperature to determine how recovered you are. Now, because the device sits on your finger, it tends to be more accurate than devices that are worn on your wrist in terms of measuring your heart rate and your HRV. Now, there have been times where I have used 3 different sleep devices at once. Like I said, I used Whoop for over 4 years. That also measures your sleep and it also tracks your recovery. And also 8 Sleep, that's just on my mattress. And although I don't refer to the sleep score and the sleep data as much on that, when I've compared the 3, they all tend to trend the same direction Like if my resting heart rate was low one night or high one night, they all trend the same way, although the numbers might not be exactly the same. And the same goes for HRV. Out of the three, 8 sleep tends to be the least accurate when it comes to HRV and resting heart rate, and even just sleep duration and things like that. Sometimes I'll just be like lying in bed and it will think I'm sleeping. Whereas with Oura, it kind of knows if I'm reading before bed and when the point is I actually fall asleep. So it's more accurate in that sense. Now, if you guys don't know what HRV is, I'll quickly talk about that. I talked about this in my Whoop video as well. But it's heart rate variability, which measures the variability between your heartbeats. And if your heart rate is more variable, so there's different durations in between your heartbeats, and this is very, very, very small variation, like nothing you would be able to notice just measuring your pulse or anything like that. More variation means your body is adapting better moment to moment. So things that are changing, it's adapting. And so a higher HRV, more variability is better. And this has been studied a lot in terms of like exercise recovery, and it has been determined to be a very good indicator of how recovered your body is, because if you're struggling with recovery, then your heart rate is going to be less variable. It's not adapting as quickly because it's kind of struggling a little bit. So HRV is a strong predictor for your recovery, or I guess indicator rather than predictor. Oura, I think, was one of the first wearable devices to track HRV and to use this metric. Traditionally, older devices just used to look at your resting heart rate, which can also be a good indicator, but not as much as HRV. So I like Oura in the sense that it combines HRV with your resting heart rate and with your sleep duration and everything else. I think most devices nowadays are measuring your HRV, so this isn't as big of a selling point for Oura as it used to be, at least. Now, when it comes to the sleep score and the recovery score, out of the 3 devices that I have used for years and years, I find that Oura is the most accurate at tracking sleep, tracking the stages of sleep, tracking how long you slept. It's also pretty accurate for resting heart rate and for HRV. But when it comes to recovery, it balances all these out. And sometimes the recovery score can be lower than what I think it should be. For example, with Whoop, it has a heavy emphasis on HRV in measuring recovery. So even if you didn't get a lot of sleep, but your HRV was high, then it will give you a higher recovery score. Whereas with Oura, I find that if I have a high HRV, but maybe I didn't get as much sleep as it thinks I needed, then I'll have a lower readiness score, which I don't think is as accurate because, like I said, if HRV is high, this is one of the strongest indicators of your recovery. And the amount of sleep that these devices say you need can sometimes be a little bit off because it's based on your activity the previous day and other factors, sleep debt building up. But it only knows so much. It doesn't know exactly what's going on in your body. So I think the readiness score can be a little bit off. And this is where I think just looking at the HRV on its own and comparing it to your baseline, because HRV can vary between people and it varies a lot. So you don't want to be comparing your HRV to anyone else. You only want to be comparing it to yourself. But looking at your HRV on its own can be a little bit more helpful than looking at the overall readiness score. The sleep score, I think, can be really good. The readiness score, I also think, can be good. The activity score and the step counter and activity tracking in general, this is not accurate. The steps that Oura Ring thinks you take in a day are way higher than any other device says. I've noticed this. Others have noticed this. I've tested it myself, just taking like 100 steps and counting and then seeing what Oura Ring says I took. So personally for me, I have only worn Oura for sleep for the past several years. There was probably a time where I was wearing Whoop and Oura at the same time during the day. But because I was wearing Whoop, I wouldn't wear my Oura Ring throughout the day. I would just wear it at night. And I'll talk about why I still wore it at night. And this also ties in with the main reason why I'm still using Oura. So I'll get to that in a second. But some of the other new features that Whoop has introduced in the last couple of years that I do think are kind of cool are it tells you your cardiovascular age. So this feature estimates how old you are compared to your actual age. And it basically uses technology that measures the stiffness in your arteries. And it does this by shining a light into your blood vessels. So I don't think I'm going to be able to show you on my ring. I'll probably put a photo up on the screen that shows you just I'm trying to take it off, just the little lights. Yeah, you're definitely not going to be able to see that. The little lights that are on the inside and the sensors. So the reflected light is measured by a photodetector, and the wave shape of the reflected light is analyzed. And this is interpreted to estimate your arterial stiffness. And this, combined with your height, your age, your sex, gives you your cardiovascular age. So if this is aligned with your actual age, or if it's lower, this is a really good sign of heart health. If it's higher, then this is a sign you might need to make some adjustments to your diet, to your lifestyle. The other new-ish feature that Oura has introduced is your stress levels throughout the day. And this is both good stress and bad stress, because I think a lot of people hear the word stress and they automatically have a negative connotation with it. But stress isn't a bad thing. Short bursts of stress are what make us stronger and what help us build muscle, for example. Because if you think of exercise is a stressor, but because you do it in short durations. Now, if you're over-exercising, then that's when it turns into a bad stress, because any stress that's chronic isn't a good thing. You don't want to be stressed out all of the time, both physically or mentally. So Oura measures your stress levels by tracking physiological stress and recovery. And it categorizes your stress into 4 zones: stressed, engaged, relaxed, or restored. So signs that your body is in a higher state of stress are a higher heart rate, elevated body temperature, higher respiratory rate. So it uses all these to determine your stress level. And I do think this is a good feature. Like I said, I only have worn Oura at night for the last few years, so I haven't really taken advantage of this. Although Whoop has a similar feature where it shows your stress levels throughout the day. And if you've watched that video, I talked about why I stopped using Whoop recently after 4 years. And the main reason was data fatigue and just becoming a bit hyper fixated on the numbers. So I would look at my stress graph throughout the day and it would stress me out if I wasn't in the state that I wanted to be in. So obviously when you're exercising, you're going to be in a higher stress level. This is a good thing. But if I was trying to take a nap, for example, or just do something to unwind and my stress levels were still high, I would get more stressed out and just be like, oh my God, I'm doing everything wrong. Why can't I relax? And that was something that, I don't know, obviously it's within your control. You can control your breathing and certain things, but becoming fixated on it, like I was to a degree, is not a good thing. So I haven't used this feature personally with Oura. I do think it can be beneficial for some people, but I just was not a fan of it with Whoop. I found it was just making things worse rather than making things better. I prefer for these devices to have that data and then just present me a summary of it rather than giving sort of the real-time tracking. So let's get into what I like about Whoop and what I don't like about Whoop. So the pros and the cons. The first thing I mentioned earlier in this video was the sleep tracking. I think the sleep tracking is the most accurate out of any device I've used. Like I said, in terms of the time I fall asleep, the duration of my sleep, the time I spend in different sleep stages, I think this is all more accurate than my Whoop was, more accurate than 8 Sleep. And especially when I first started using Oura, because this was the first sleep tracker that I ever used, there were certain things that I noticed that significantly decreased my sleep quality. Things like alcohol. Even having 1 or 2 drinks before bed or like in the hours before bed significantly drops your HRV. It decreases the amount of REM sleep you get. It also increases the amount of times you wake up throughout the night. But you really, really see it with your HRV. And like I said, that is a strong indicator of how recovered you are. And if you have 2 drinks and you're like, oh, no big deal. Okay, I feel like I slept fine. I woke up feeling okay. I don't feel hungover. But then you look at your HRV and you're like, wow, that is significantly lower than it usually is. And this just goes to show how much energy your body has to put into processing that alcohol out of your system. And when it's doing this, it's not prioritizing your recovery. So that was one thing. Eating too close to bedtime, that's another big negative impactor on my sleep and my recovery. Also, blue light before bed, not getting morning sunlight, another two big things that I noticed impacted my sleep and my recovery. I talk about light and how it impacts our sleep all the time, both in a good way and in a bad way. I stress this so much because I have seen the data and I have felt the results for myself. So when you're first starting out, I think that this can be helpful, and especially adding the tags like you had alcohol before and just seeing the trends in that sense, very helpful. Like I said in my Whoop video, data fatigue was something that I experienced because there comes a point where you've done all the work, you've done all the tracking, and you know exactly what is going to hurt and help your recovery. And it just gets to be a bit tedious. Like I said, I know if I drink alcohol, my recovery score is going to be much lower. My readiness score with Oura is going to be much lower. There comes a point where it's just not helpful anymore. Another thing I like about Oura is the HRV. Of course, I said that they were one of the first to use HRV, but now a lot of other devices are using it. So I do still like this aspect of it, and I do think that the HRV is pretty accurate. And I'm judging accuracy based on me looking at all three devices. My Whoop and my Oura would always be closer together than 8 Sleep would be. Like sometimes 8 Sleep is so off. You know what I think the issue is also? I think 8 Sleep sometimes tracks my cat sleeping, which is so funny because there's been times where I've left it on by accident, like I had a nap and I turned on the cooling or whatever and forgot to turn it off, but then my cats were sleeping on the bed and then it tracked their sleep. So funny. So I think maybe that impacts it a bit. I'm not entirely sure, that's just my hypothesis, but I do find Oura to be the most accurate. Now, this is the main reason why I am still using Oura, and it is because of the temperature tracking. Oura tracks your body temperature every night and it can detect patterns over time. Now, the reason that I like this as a woman especially is because the way your body temperature changes throughout your cycle can help you track your cycle. Because during the first half of our cycle, our body temperature is lower. Along with this, we have higher HRV, a lower resting heart rate. Things are great in the first half of our cycle, but then once you get into the second half, your body temperature increases significantly, your HRV goes down, your resting heart rate goes up, and you can use your body temperature to, number one, track when you ovulate, and you can also use it to predict exactly when your period is going to come. This is so handy. So for me, I know that as soon as my body temperature starts to increase, exactly 10 days later, my period's going to start. Yeah, and like I said, this is super handy. Obviously, knowing exactly when your period's going to start, fantastic. But also, if you're trying to get pregnant, if you're tracking your fertility, very useful tool. If you're someone who struggles with PCOS or insulin resistance and you have an irregular cycle, this can help you to get it back on track. Now, of course, you need to address the underlying cause, which is insulin resistance, but this can help you to track your cycle, track your temperature, and monitor progress. Extremely helpful. And I've done cycle tracking with like the thermometer that you use every morning. Oh, that is stressful to do because first off, you need to do it first thing in the morning before you even start to move, before you even sit up. You need to remember to pick up that thermometer, take your temperature, and record it right away. And even if you've been lying in bed for a little bit and your body temperature has started to go up, then yeah, it's not going to be accurate. But using Oura, I find it extremely accurate. Now, of course, there are things that impact your body temperature. Alcohol. You're going to see an increase in your body temperature the night after you've been drinking. Again, even just 1 or 2 drinks can impact this. So if you're drinking frequently, this isn't going to be helpful for you. I pair my Oura Ring with Natural Cycles, the app, and if you mark in the app that you were drinking the day before, it disregards your temperature altogether because it's not going to be accurate. But this is just, I think this is actually a good thing because it discourages you. So there's that. The temperature feature can also be helpful because it can detect illness before it starts. Not in every case, but sometimes. I find that the temperature tracking on Whoop not as accurate as Oura, so that's why this is the main reason why I still use Oura, is basically to track my temperature and track my cycle. And this is, I guess, the other reason why I'm still using Oura. I think with the release of Gen 3, they introduced a subscription model. I believe it's $6 per month. Now, this has become more and more common. I started using Oura when there was no subscription model, and because of that, I'm a legacy member, so I don't have to pay for it at all. If I was having to pay the $6 monthly, which would be probably like $8 Australian, then no, I don't think I would still be using Oura because, like I said, I don't wear it during the day. I mainly use it for the temperature tracking. And now I've been using it a little bit more for sleep because I've stopped using Whoop, although I'm not putting as much weight into the readiness score as I used to. So because I'm a legacy member, that's another reason that I use Oura. Here's what I don't like about the Oura Ring. I think that the activity tracking is terrible. When I first heard of Oura, I was so excited because I thought, okay, I'm not going to have to wear this Garmin watch on my wrist. I'm going to have this sort of cool looking device that's going to be able to track my activities. Like I said with the steps, it's not accurate. Heart rate and calorie tracking and that sort of thing during activity, not accurate. Calories with any wearable device aren't going to be accurate, so you should never be looking at those to begin with. But yeah, applies to Oura as well. If you're doing any sort of weightlifting, of course, because it's a ring, you're not going to want to wear it. It sort of like pinches your finger. I used to wear it back in the day, but yeah, not worth it. So if you're looking for an activity, a fitness tracker, this is not for you. I would recommend Whoop if that's what you're after. Now, I also feel like the battery life isn't that great. I think at this point I can probably get 3 nights of sleep on one charge before I have to recharge it, which isn't terrible because, like I said, I've been using it since 2021, so like 3 and a bit years. 3 nights, pretty good. I'm not sure what it would be like if I was wearing it throughout the day as well. And obviously another downside is the subscription model, which isn't something that I personally have to deal with, but yeah, it would dissuade me from signing up and using Oura now. So in conclusion, I do think Oura is a great device if you are someone who is wanting to track their sleep, who is new to sleep tracking, who has no idea what helps and hurts their sleep, if you're struggling to sleep, that sort of thing. I would recommend Oura. If you're someone who is an athlete who is looking for fitness tracking, this isn't a replacement for other wearable fitness trackers. Don't use this to track your workouts. If you're just a casual exerciser and you aren't too concerned with like metrics, if you're not using it for like runs and for pace and that sort of thing, then yeah, it might be fine. And if you're someone who is looking to track their cycle, then I can't recommend Oura enough. And the way that it syncs with natural cycle is just fantastic. It makes it so easy. On that note, I really like the Natural Cycles app as well. So I'm going to link to that in the description box down below as well if you guys want to check that out. But anyways, that is going to conclude today's episode. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you are considering buying Oura or if you've used Oura in the past, let me know in the comments what your experience has been. Have you used Whoop? Have you used 8 Sleep? I love hearing from you guys, so let me know, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.